Hello everyone and welcome to Late Night Unite. Kirk Doobsnax Dubé here, and a very special guest, world champion from Blackhand, formerly known as Free Agents if you're looking on their stream at their screen right now. Kyriaos, how you holding up, my friend?
Doing well. Thanks for the chance to talk tonight.
Of course, we just spoke for an hour about your big finals win and breaking down those 3 games, which was a blast. And the first time I got to do that with somebody, and it's kind of going to be hopefully leading into that whole bit of content. But this episode is about learning more about you as a person. So I have to ask you the first question that I ask everybody right out of the gates. No exceptions. Kyriaos, where'd your gamer tag come from?
Yeah, I think it was way back, kind of like in middle school. I was starting League of Legends for the first time. Had to come up with a gamer tag. Basically, I was like a pretty big fan of tennis back then. I still am, but I was like very into like looking at professional tennis, kind of watching those games, and I played it back then as well. And one of like the kind of players I like thought was like extremely good, and was like kind of like that rising star was this player named Nick Kyriaos. So it's like Kyrios. And then Kyriaos was obviously taken. No surprise there. So I tried to just do Kyriaos, or just like Kyrios and no A. But that unfortunately was also taken. So I decided, I really want this name. So I'm just gonna put A in there somewhere, and then boom, Kyriaos was born.
And boom, Kyriaos was born. And you use it on everything, which is obviously great. You're streaming right now. Catch them on Twitch, of course, at Kyriaos, as they just listed. So you mentioned you've played League of Legends. I think in your Twitch profile it even says, Challenger, Season 9, Season 10. So clearly not a foreigner to MOBAs or team battlers. So how did you, let's go back to day one. What was like the first thing that got you into I want to say competitive gaming, right? Because everybody's played Mario, but that's not necessarily the impetus to say like, hey, I want to climb the ranks. I want to be the best I can be at this game. Where did that journey start for you?
Yeah, I think it definitely started with League of Legends for sure. Yeah, I had like the phase of like, playing the Pokemon main games like Mario, kind of like these more MMORPGs, RuneScape, kind of like those more fun games that you spend time with your friends. But then I kind of started playing League of Legends, started seeing how the game had a lot of like interpretation. I guess like that's kind of like what leads to competitiveness, right? So many different ways to approach it. So the people who can really kind of make sure it's the best or the optimal way, those are like the great players. I think League kind of definitely inspired me to kind of think more about the game. How can this game be played better than what everybody else is kind of looking at it for? So as I kind of continued, I kept playing League of Legends. Some of my friends who didn't really want to keep playing maybe stopped the game. But then some of those friends who also really wanted to get better kept competing, kept playing ranked. So definitely wanted to get the drive to become the best from League for sure.
So how many seasons? Obviously, you played Season 9 and 10. We hammered that. How long did it take to get to those seasons where you were able to go back-to-back Challenger?
I see it started back in like Season 4. Kind of started with like mid, then went to like some support. I basically played like every role except top. I went from like mid to support, ADC, went back to mid lane, and then kind of really settle on that ADC role. And finally in Season 9 and try to get really serious about it. And then I was able to climb all the way to Challenger after those couple 5 years.
Did you settle in ADC because you liked it the most, or because that's where you were the best, or both?
I think it was kind of both actually. Yeah, I really did like the feeling of like the dynamic of playing with 2 people. Maybe that's also why I like bot lane in Pokémon UNITE as well. Kind of like that dynamic of playing with another person in your lane, working around those 4 different champs that are all in the same lane, and kind of trying to get a lead and advantage off of that is always really exciting. And I think also when it comes to those late game team fights, you manage to get that position, that sneaky, maybe autoing over the wall or something like that, and then you just wipe out their entire team. I think there's no better feeling than that when it comes to a MOBA, kind of just playing that kind of play style, making sure that you're in that best position. Always felt like that kind of rush and just like that absolute focus when it comes to that last, maybe that Baron fight, that Dragon fight. Always loved kind of like playing around the back line and make sure nobody gets to kill me in that fight.
So, real quick, well, let's jump forward in time. Has that translated into your experience in Pokemon Unite? Do you like to play the similar style? I mean, we've seen you kind of in that bot path attacker role. You've flexed other things. We've seen you before, but mainly that's where you live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do really enjoy. I think like the melee Pokemon have been very good this season. But I think that could definitely change with that upcoming season. Just a couple days. Even like I really enjoy playing Gardevoir sometimes. I really enjoy playing that Ninetales, the Pikachu. I think all these Pokemon that have a lot of range and play around the positioning and AoE spells are always really fun. If you just land like one solid combo at that Zapdos fight, knock out two Pokemon, it's over. And then just like not really other kind of Pokemon that can do that. Definitely gonna like hopefully those Pokemon are really good. Mew, hopefully some Pokemon that could work like that as well. We really enjoy playing Mew.
Well, one of its new abilities literally gives it invincibility. So, and protects, what's it, with invincibility and invisibility for everybody in that bubble. And then it explodes and deals a ton of damage. So, Mew, looking strong out of the gate. We just got to see how those numbers shake out. But back to your League of Legends quest here. Challenger Season 9 and Season 10. Are you playing at that point in time with friends that kind of wanted to keep grinding and getting better, or was this kind of a Kyriaos and Kyriaos alone quest?
Yeah, the rank quest, I mean, there's only solo duo to kind of like get all the way to that rank. So it's mostly me kind of really getting motivated to kind of climb. I think it's like the end of high school, so it's like that kind of period between high school summer and then college. Mm-hmm. Basically nothing to do. I mean, not much to prepare for like the freshman year. So just hard grinded League of Legends that summer. Went from like Diamond to Challenger. Yeah, pretty much by myself. I mean, my friends always looked at my pros like, "No, you're doing it. You're doing it." It's like, yeah, I really enjoy playing games with my friends as well. But yeah, pretty much just a solo journey in the rank grind.
Before we peel off of League of Legends, your favorite characters to play?
Yeah. Definitely Yasuo. That was like probably my most played character. Just enjoy like all the mobility, all the kind of different plays you can do. And then I really enjoy Jhin as a ADC, kind of landing those skill shots and then huge burst damage. Loved playing Jhin. Enjoyed playing Ezreal as well. Really loved that character. Kind of play for those poke damage. And then finally, definitely enjoyed Vayne as well. Stay alive. Get those hits in, win the team fight.
Boom, too easy. So you play, was there a transitionary phase between League of Legends and Pokemon Unite? I mean, I know like time-wise there was, but were there any games in between that you kind of maybe took a liking to, but maybe didn't kind of hit that competitive threshold in until you found Pokemon Unite?
Yeah, so I think Pokemon Unite came out in season 11. Yeah, so yeah, this past season was season 12. Yeah, and then last year was season 11. I think like between season 10 and season 11, I kind of didn't have as much time to play League of Legends. Mm-hmm. Didn't really get that high rank in that season 11 time. Other games I really tried to be competitive in. I mean, like I tried out like some games like Rocket League or something like that, but they're just like very different from League of Legends, and I think like my strong suit was definitely MOBAs. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I didn't really hit the competitive threshold for those. It was always fun to play with a lot of people as well. Valorant shooter games, I really enjoyed those as well, but definitely was not going to reach a competitive level in that. So I think that's kind of where I like kind of saw the MOBA of Pokemon Unite coming through, and I said, "Hey, Switch MOBA? I haven't heard of that." So that's where I kind of got interested.
When Pokemon Unite came out, what was the thought process there? Did you start playing it and like, well, I'm getting pretty good at this, I hope there's a competitive circuit, or I'm just having fun with friends, and then the competitive circuit was announced and you wanted to keep pushing? How did that transition go from, hey, I'm just kind of goofing around playing games with friends, I like MOBAs, I like team battlers, but I haven't really found one that scratches the itch, and then all of a sudden, obviously, bang, Pokemon Unite seems to check some boxes for you?
Yeah, I just started with friends. I think I played with a number of friends at the beginning, and then one of my friends was a little more serious, and we duoed all the way to Masters. And then he was Lucario, and I was like playing Absol or Cinderace. Yeah, I mean, pretty much all the way up until master. I mean, we cared about like winning and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like, funny stuff happened. We laughed. It was always a good time. Rage about our teammates sometimes, but once we got all the way to masters, I think we kind of had like that difference where like he wanted to spend more time doing other things, maybe, and just relax. And then I was like, hey, we hit master. I mean, we could go all the way and like try to climb even higher. And then when he stopped playing, I kind of like thought about it for a while, but I thought that playing even more and trying to like get even higher rank was something I did want to do. So then that's when I finally started to be like, is there like a Discord for this? Like, is there a Reddit? I found the Reddit Discord. Then I went to the AOS Frontier, or as that's is now called, and then kind of started finding 5-stacks. That's how I kind of started getting to that competitive itch and like finding teammates to play with.
So you're finding 5-stacks, you're climbing the rank, you're seeing the fruits of your labor in terms of the time you're spending grinding here. What was the first competitive event you entered in a 5-stack, and how did that conversation go down? How did you feel about kind of the first official competitive event you jumped in?
I think there's like a tournament. I don't know like exactly if it was official or not. I think it's like announced on like some website. But yeah, the first tournament that I played in, we got wiped in round one. Spoiler, we got 2-0 in round one. But it was just like with some friends that I'd been playing with in ranked on Discord and stuff. Like we wanted to win for sure. But just in general, like I was in like California, so Western time, so I was 3 hours behind, so I had to wake up like 7:30 a.m. or something like that, and then we played the tournament. Got destroyed in round one. I was like, dude, competitive sucks. But that's when I kind of like really want to also like play in more tournaments. I want to win the next one. And when I thought about that, I thought of kind of trying to form maybe teammates that I just like liked a little bit more than just like kind of finding in just playing ranked with. And then that's where I kind of like got into more stacks with like I think Jungle Book was one of the first players I played with as well. That's where we kind of like got into like that more serious thing of like, let's form a time we want to play at, get on at this time, and then let's play with these 5 people all the time, and ranked. I think that's where that started.
So as you're finding these 5-stacks, you're kind of leaning into getting more into more competitive more competitive events, things like that. Where did you find yourself in your role at that time? I don't mean the role in the game, but like role in the team composition. Were you shot calling? Were you peacekeeping? Were you like being the motivator? All three? Were you taking a backseat because you maybe felt too new to the scene or too new to the competitive scene? Where did you find yourself kind of slotting in the early days of your competitive Pokemon Unite career?
I think I've always kind of had like a trend of shot calling. I want to like communicate and make sure everybody kind of understood what I was thinking about and what I wanted to happen in the game. And I think I've always had that kind of pattern, and I think that's why I also fit well in my current team. I hope that like my shot calls are good and that like people kind of see the game the way that I do, and then that's like kind of like the way I approach it. I never really do like the backseating. I think I try to be like active and discussing about like, we lose a game, right? It's tough, and then we lose our points, and then I think I often the one who's like, so like, I think this could have gone better, maybe. I think this was the reason it also could have went wrong, and maybe there's like a different thing we can do in the future. I think I kind of like am the one who starts those kind of discussions. So that's I think it's usually my role.
Well, it's certainly grown and anchored itself, of course. You're now the world champion in Pokemon Unite, of course. But there's still some legwork to be done between winning the Pokemon Unite World Championships and where we've left off in your 5-stacking groups here. How did you find your way? Or let's say this. What was like what you felt was like the first competitive team that was taking this seriously that you joined? Was it Blackhand? Was there one before? Where did you find yourself? What was kind of like that first say, like, okay, we're in this now?
I think it's like way back in like maybe September or something like that. I don't even know if most people know about this team, but it was on Virus Pink. Virus is like a gaming organization
Mm-hmm.
that had some sponsors as well back then, and then they wanted to sponsor a Pokemon Unite team. So I think, yeah, I got on a team with like Elky, Clouds, maybe some names that aren't as familiar, other than those two. But yeah, that was like the first team that like had set times, kind of like expectations of when people should show up, some money as well, kind of sponsorships, and then like really kind of solidifying themselves as like a consistent kind of participant in tournaments. I think that team with Virus was like the first real competitive team, and like actually having a name on it rather than just like going to a tournament and saying like banger 5 stack and like that's your team name instead of that. Just like that kind of consistentness was really good. I think that's the first team.
So what did you learn from that team, and then say like, okay, I need to cut ties with this. This is good. It's got me wet behind the ears, but this is not where my journey ends. What were some of the lessons learned for being part of that organization for however long it was, and what was the next step?
I think in that first team, definitely being more affirmative and being more confident in like my own abilities and being shot calling. I think like because it's like my first competitive team and like I didn't want to also like play poorly or make a bad call and then also like lose the team, like lose the sponsorship. I was a little more cautious, more timid in playing and also calling. So when that kind of happened, and then we generally went from like a good start, and then every tournament afterwards we started losing more and more. I just saw myself kind of like thinking about it and say like we probably could have avoided it if I kind of said this, but I didn't. I think that's what kind of drove me to know that like, hey, I know what I think. I think I know what should be done, and I think that's kind of like the markings of that good player. But I don't really have the place to say it on this team, I think, and I want to play with other players who kind of inspire that conversation, that communication, and that team just wasn't it for me.
Okay, so you move on from Virus Pink. You obviously bring a very important lesson with you as you move forward. What was that? What was that next squad you found yourself on, or the next group of people you found yourself with?
Yeah, I think the next thing was so at the time, I think like White Flag Gaming, and so it's like the top couple teams at that time were like really solidified were TTV, White Flag Gaming, and then Pip Champs, which Sanji was playing with Bruv. All these teams were really impressive, but those teams weren't opening up spots anytime soon, so it's really hard to get on those teams. But White Flag Gaming was kind of doing like this kind of sister team, or like I guess lower team, Team B, where it's like White Flag Zephyr, and then White Flag something else. But yeah, White Flag Zephyr was kind of like that sister team where we kind of started out. I kind of like asked Jungle Book, because we are kind of friends for a while, what do you think about like forming another team or something like that? And he talked about that kind of opportunity, and White Flag forming some different sister teams. So I decided to try out, got into that with some other teammates. Yeah, I mean, we kind of went under White Flag's name, played some games together. It didn't last too long, because then some roster changes happened with White Flag, and then Jungle Book left, and then we formed like the first Ascendants. But yeah, White Flag Zephyr was like right after Virus Pink. Yeah.
Okay, so White Flag Zephyr dissolves in, like you said, roster changes, whatever happens, it kind of falls apart. And then Ascendance comes together. Ascendance was able to establish itself and move forward. I mean, it kind of became a mainstay in the top results of tournaments. Did you finally feel like you were coming into your own as a competitive player once you hit Ascendance, or had that realization not happened yet?
Yeah. Well, I think like the interesting thing about that was that I used to be a jungler on Virus Pink as well, but pretty much like throughout the entire rank climb I was a jungler, and then I switched to an attacker to play with Jungle Book, and Jungle Book to stay jungle, obviously. Yeah, I think at that time I didn't know that I was just main attacker. I kind of just thought I was like kind of being in this off role, not too sure if I was going to keep playing it. and then kind of figure out the dynamic in Pokemon Unite of like playing with bot lane consistently. I had played bot lane before, but like not like in a team competitive against like other extremely good bot lanes like
Sure.
Zug, Rug, Indy, and Goof. Like playing against that kind of bot lane, how are you gonna fare, right? It's like that kind of experience was something I need to get. Yeah, I didn't know I would be just playing attacker all the way, to be honest. I kind of thought eventually I'll go back to jungle sometime if this team kind of changed, but I mean, it worked out. I think I grew into attacker pretty well. And I think like now I'm really confident in my role and just like making sure we kind of know what we're doing as like 3 people in bot lane or 2. Just knowing how we want to play, yeah.
As this team was coming together, and of course the world championship run and your roster of 5 on the stage there, the feeling I kind of got watching your team, and please correct me if I'm wrong, adjust this, but the analogy I would kind of give it based on what I was seeing was, Elo and Slash are kind of were like the offensive linemen of the squad. You were the quarterback, and then you had like a high octane running back, and then like a high octane running back and like Overlord, and then you had kind of like your blow the doors open wide receiver in Jungle Book, and that's just kind of how I saw the dynamic of the team working out. Is that something that actually resonates, or am I just like dreaming on cloud 9 when I like lay it out like that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, it's just Elo and Slash putting the work in, trying to make sure everything gets set up, and then I'm just like kind of calling, I think, going for those plays, and kind of making sure that we have the exact position we want for Overlord to kind of take over. Then he takes it home. Probably the best mechanical player in the world, and then Jungle Book's just like that rock. He just consistent in everything that he does. He carries when he needs to. He supports when he needs to. He makes sure that everything gets done. He keeps the team together. That's probably like the best description I got. Yeah.
Well, it certainly lands. I mean, like I said, like I was watching it, and that's just kind of like what kept running through my mind every time. It was just like facilitating certain players at certain times, and whether that was, there was one. I mean, it was a Slash can from off the screen coming through and saving Overlord. That was like on the brink of perishing in a fight, and then all of a sudden, as soon as Overlord picked up that Blissey Unite, I mean, it was like the game was on and off to the races. So it was. It looked good. So that's just something that made sense to me. Anyways, Kyriaos, you are a world champion. Your team looks as solid as ever. Of course, you are a free agent squad, and that doesn't mean things have fallen apart with Blackhand. It's just you guys are exploring your other options, of course. For those of us that are on this side of the fence here, what does that mean for the squad? Are you guys soliciting for other people, or are you just kind of laying it out there and then you'll fall back to Blackhand, or are you in conversations with Blackhand? Obviously, we don't need to know details, but for those of us not in the know of being assigned to an org here, can you kind of give us the lay of the land with what that's like?
Yeah. So we had a conversation with Blackhand about like what it would look like, so we have the flexibility to just look at other options, and again, we could even show those like kind of options to Blackhand if they wanted to like do a counter offer, something like that. But yeah, it's just like completely good terms of Blackhand. We talked very clearly about it and what's kind of expected from both sides. We're generally looking just for very solid offers. I think kind of bringing home the world championship brings kind of the biggest opportunity for maybe a really good organization, really large organization, to get into Pokemon Unite and kind of introduce other very big organizations to get involved as well. I think that's one of the key things, is that once one of these really big organizations do get into Pokemon Unite, then other organizations as well might follow suit, more of like a domino effect. But everybody's a little bit timid to like kind of get into it. Pokemon Unite's still really, really new.
Yep.
So understandably, some organizations are a little nervous about trying to commit to a whole 5 or 6-man roster, with like our analyst and our manager and stuff like that. But once that kind of first investment happens by one organization, I think that will kind of snowball to others. So we're just looking for that one very, very good offer. But of course, Blackhand's still out there.
So let me ask you this: as you're speaking of trying to get, when we say bigger orgs, in my mind, I'm thinking, like liquid, like essentially like the League of Legends teams that you kind of see. Even going down to like CLG, Evil Geniuses, TSM, those squads coming through, what can they bring and step in if they were to take on a team like this? What do you think the game needs, or what do you think teams need to start doing to help attract some of these larger organizations from your point of view?
So I think what the game could do, that's an interesting question. Probably just host a lot of kind of collaborations, I think, of content creators. I think that is something that could definitely be really helpful, especially the bigger ones. I guess I would talk about like Spray Goals, talk about like Chris Heroes, kind of like these people who bring a lot of attention on YouTube and also Twitch. Kind of making more of those events that I kind of mirror Twitch rivals, I guess. It's like when I think about it in League of Legends. Just a whole bunch of really big content creators come together in Twitch rivals for League. They even played in a LAN event once. That was a really exciting thing, just seeing all these content creators in person playing against each other on the same computers. I think that event drew so many views and a lot of attention. Yeah, more events like that just like would help a lot for the game, the company. More eyes, more attention, just more people involved in like the game and watching would always just be really helpful to kind of draw attention from those bigger organizations and kind of they want to see what's going on. From the team's perspective, that's pretty difficult. The biggest metric always for teams is going to be wins, right?
Sure.
Prizes, winnings. Other than that, it's like teams can't do too much. You got to have an impressive resume to try to bring in organizations and like make sure that they're interested in certain teams and they look at those teams as consistent and have a lot of potential for obviously the biggest event in the world championship. Do they think that team will go to the world championship,
Right.
take it all home, or at least have a really good placing? Yeah, there's not much else honestly teams can do. We just got to play our best and hopefully we can be interesting to organizations.
Do you think what might play into that is maybe the lack of respect the game gets from perhaps folks in the League of Legends community or like the Dota 2 communities, something like that? Do you think there's kind of like it's Pokemon, so it's a kid's game? Do you think there's some of that going on?
For sure. I think Pokemon UNITE, doesn't have enough attention to kind of make sure that people look at it seriously and say like, okay, how does this game work? Like, what are the mechanics? And then they see it, it's like, well, there is a lot of interpretation, as I kind of said before. That's like that kind of metric, I think, for like competitive games and inspiring people to think about it is how many options are there? Like, how flexible is it?
Right.
How many things can people do in the game to make it optimal? Pokemon UNITE has plenty of them, a ton, especially in a 10-minute time period. I think that's what makes it really, really good. But it just doesn't have that exposure to other people. Yeah, it's a Pokemon game. Not really much skill must be involved. It's like that kind of, prejudice, I guess, against like Pokemon UNITE. It's like, it is hard to get over. It is a Pokemon game. Can't do much about that. But it's, it's hard to like draw the attention to that kind of game. I think the World Championship helped a lot. I think the viewership was really good. But yeah, it's just, if you can just get people to kind of see that the game honestly has, like, I played League of Legends for a long time, like it has, pretty on par, like a lot of different things you can do in the game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different ways to make it optimal. It's hard to kind of bring that through though. Like the kind of macro of Pokemon UNITE is really different with scoring, things like that. No gold, no items, just like focusing on neutral farm. It's pretty different.
Yeah. If you were to turn back to kind of your League of Legends, let's say Kyriaos in Challenger Season 9, Challenger Season 10. If Kyriaos now is trying to convince Kyriaos that was in the throes of League of Legends to try out Pokemon UNITE, what's something you might say?
I never thought about that.
Because that's a hurdle we're all going to have to cross. You're passionate about Pokemon UNITE. Of course, I am too. Those in the chat are as well. There's hundreds of thousands of people that love this game, that tuned into the World Championships, and we have to be able to give it validity in some sense, which means we need talking points when we're engaging these conversations. So you haven't been on both sides of the fence. What would you, as a Pokemon Unite player now, tell League of Legends Kyriaos from Season 9, Season 10 when you were a Challenger level player?
Yeah, I say the strongest point about Pokemon Unite is definitely the like inspiring people to kind of participate in like the community. I think when ranked comes to fives, I think that's what makes the game good. I think a lot of people complain about the lack of a solo duo ladder or something like that in Pokemon Unite in comparison to League of Legends. Personally, when I think about me playing League of Legends and just solo queue, I would feel, alone, frustrated. I'm just like, I'm playing by myself with 4 people I don't know every single game, but this solo duo ladder is the only thing that matters. Nobody cares about rank 5 flex. Like, it doesn't mean anything to most people. But when I play solo duo, trying to get better and like climb in that rank that really matters and that shows up on my profile, I get 4 people who just do completely different things. They could hate each other in high elo. That happens a lot in League of Legends. You go into games and then your top laner and your jungler are just like, I hate you. You inted my last game. Like, this guy is boosted. They start like roasting each other in team chat, and then the team is already like so not focused on winning by like you like by the time you even load into the game. Like, that kind of lack of community and people being toxic, in my opinion, in League of Legends community, that was a really bad point about League. And kind of getting that to turn around in Pokemon Unite, you play 5 people in a Discord call for those rank points. Focus on teamwork, focus on synergy. I think those kind of traits won us worlds, kind of focusing on like that synergy and how we think to each other. That is something that just helps so much, I think, for Pokemon Unite. So I'd probably just say to myself that, you're playing this game, and it's good, you're good at it, and I think the game's exciting, but you could play a game that is just as competitive, has just as much room for interpretation, but you could play 4 other people all the time. Literally all the time. People are always looking to play kind of stacks in Pokemon Unite. And all of them are just like, pretty chill, pretty open to just playing the game whenever, fill roles whenever. You can just be so much more flexible in Pokemon Unite than in League of Legends when it comes to who you want to play with, how you want to spend your time. Do you want to be more chill? Do you want to be really try hard? All you can do in League of Legends is try hard by yourself and then hope that your teammates, don't just decide to lose the game for you, and then you have to be back in queue for another 20 or 30 minutes in high low, and then get another game where people hate each other. That's like playing the game for the community, right? The experience.
You know what? I don't think there's a better exclamation point on this conversation than I can put on this episode of Late Night Unite about you, about your how you approach the game, what you think about when you get into the game, and of course you're a world champion. You can speak to it the best, and you've been at the highest rank in a competitive MOBA, League of Legends, of course. Challenger in the Season 9, Season 10 can't be understated. That being said, Kyriaos, it's time for you to sell. I was going to say, you're on the World Championship team, which as of right now has no name. They're the free agents. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. The quarterback of the free agents, Kyriaos. It's your time to sell out, whether it's the team, whether it's all your stuff, whether it's the stream that you're running right now. The floor is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Yeah. So yeah, Twitch. It's going to be Kyriaos. Yeah, Instagram Kyriaos7, Twitter is just Kyriaos_Unite. Yeah, I think for my entire team, you could probably just look up Black Hand on YouTube or something like that, find our championship. But yeah, Jungle Book 1, Overlord, Slash and Elo, great friends, first and foremost. And yeah, you can find all their stuff all over Twitter, all over YouTube. Hopefully we're going to be making a lot of content in the future. And yeah, you can always kind of find us probably in ranked, playing the game in Discord, Floatstone, things like that. We'll always be active in the community, so looking forward to finding everybody who's been watching this.
Might have to get on Discord call and have you all carry my lifeless body up the rank ladder. But I'll do a quick little moment. This is Late Night Unite on the Unite Mics channel, youtube.com/Unite Mics. You can find us on Twitter at Unite Mics. You can find me on Twitter at doobsnax, DOOBSNAX. You can find my PIC partner in casting, Zoinks, at ZoinksCasts on Twitter. But again, Unite Mics will let you know whenever we go live, do all that stuff. If you subscribe on Twitch, we have an emote edition of all the money that comes in. We donate it at the end of each month, but it does give you our cool emotes that you can spam. Ones of me, ones of Zoinks, Overdunk, Hundo Burger, Ducats, all those available. So know that your Bezos bucks, if you use a Prime sub, goes to at least a good cause in some form or fashion. And you can support us in other channels or whenever we're casting on other channels. You can drop those in the chat. We can see those and know, hey, you love us just a little bit. But all that being said, on behalf of Kyriaos, I'm doobsnax. This has been Late Night Unite. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Peace, love, and hugs. Be safe out there.